Eric said it would happen, so
Yeah.
we're starting in the tropics. It's official. Tropical storm Isaias taking shape. I'm Patrick Nolan, along with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley, and a closer look at what we're looking at here, Derek.
That's right, Patrick. Looks like we officially have our ninth named storm of the season. This is the earliest we've ever reached the ninth named storm. The last time that happened back in 2005 with Hurricane Irene, which I chased up in North Carolina back all those years ago. But let's get right to the story at hand. You can see right now the blow up of storms right near the circulation center. That's what was the last piece of the puzzle to get this thing to tighten up and finally be classified as a tropical storm officially. So you can see it moving off towards the north and west right now. You can see that the arrow basically is pointing at where the circulation actually is right now, and there's the latest advisory on it. Notice that the track has shifted east, and we were talking about this if you're watching during the 10 o'clock hour. During the afternoon and evening, we started noticing with the computer model forecast that they were starting to shift. A lot of them were shifting east again, and most of them actually were shifting east. And this is being reflected in the latest forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. So here's a little closer inspection. Right now, it looks like the storm is going to continue making its way west-northwest through the day tomorrow. It's going to cross over the Dominican Republic and will likely, depending on where it does, through the DR and also through Haiti, with these high mountains here, probably is going to get disrupted. The circulation will, as it moves over that very high terrain, which has mountain peaks over 10,000 feet, by the way. Once it gets back over to the warm waters of the Caribbean, though, we're going to be watching to see how this thing reorganizes. So the first couple of pieces of the puzzle will be, how much is the circulation disrupted by the mountainous terrain of the Dominican Republic and Haiti? And then once it gets out over this warm water, depending on how it looks after that, is it going to take advantage of that very warm water here in the Caribbean and start strengthening? It does look like there's going to be a modest amount of strengthening based on the Hurricane Center forecast. And notice the track has shifted east. Remember, the track was over here before and the cone was more out in the Gulf. Now it has shifted back towards the east. So still looking at the Space Coast and the Treasure Coast, the possibility there of some impacts as this moves off towards the north. Of course, the wind field on this thing is quite large, but most of the stronger winds are on the east side of the storm. Very tightly clustered computer model tracks here. We're going to get the new suite of model runs here later on tonight, and we're likely going to see this eastward trend continue, I think, based on some of the things I've looked at. But you can see that they take it just to the east of the peninsula here throughout the weekend, and then take it off towards the north, towards the Carolinas. So really the big thing, the big key player in all of this, of course, will be the strength of the storm and this upper level trough that is trying to dig in right here. This is actually going to be a pretty strong dip in the jet stream for this time of year. Anomalously deep, if we want to call it that, and let me show you why. Look how low this thing digs all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. Not often you see that in late July and early August, but either way you look at it, this is going to be one of the steering mechanisms to turn this thing northward. We think the combination of a strengthening Isaias as well as the deepening trough here is going to allow this thing to turn off towards the north. Now, the question is how close to the peninsula is that going to happen? Is it going to happen over the Bahamas just offshore, or perhaps over on the east coast here of Florida, or perhaps a little bit farther inland? Right now it's looking more likely that it's going to be more towards the east coast, but that does not mean that we will not see some impacts here. Right now, what you need to plan for the weekend, especially as we go into Saturday night and Sunday, is the possibility of tropical storm force winds, tropical storm conditions, rain, wind. Right now with the center likely going to pass just off to our east based on the latest track. Now that could change. It looks like the tornado threat is not going to be a problem for us. Typically that happens whenever we get storms tracking off just off the west coast. But then with the forecast track shifting east, we're going to continue to watch that, because I guarantee you in the next several days that is going to be changing some. But we do like that trend, at least for us, to keep that system farther east, where our impacts will be minimal. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Next couple of days going to be fine, hot and humid, scattered afternoon storms. And then as we go into the weekend, we'll be watching Isaias for potential impacts here in Southwest Florida. Patrick?
This means